over at the Daily Mail, they reported it. Let me read the headline. China says it will shoot Pelosi's plane down if she travels to Taiwan under U.S. fighter escort. Speaker refuses to confirm trip. Quote, if U.S. fighter jets escort Pelosi's plane to Taiwan, it is an invasion. Hu Shijin, a commentator for the Chinese state-affiliated Global Times, wrote on Twitter, the PLA has the right to forcibly dispel Pelosi's plane and the U.S. fighter jets, including firing warning shots and making tactical movements of obstruction. If ineffective, then shoot them down, Hu said.
Wow.
Pelosi has not confirmed reports she will travel to Taiwan. But the other news is that the U.S. has sent a carrier and a strike group to the South China Sea. So it does seem like things are escalating a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, it is apocalypse night here. Las Vegas flooded. There's like war with China. There was an op-ed in the New York Times that said Pelosi's trip to Taiwan is too dangerous. So I'm wondering what do you guys think about this? I do kind of feel like China's bluster. Come on. Some CCP state media guy saying he's going to shoot down Pelosi. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you said at the top of the show, this is not the CCP. They said it was a news media organization.
No. This is the CCP.
Oh, I thought you said it came out of the news media.
So my point is, if you have a company in China, it's the CCP.
Oh, that I agree with. Yeah, but this wasn't like the party.
But this is state propaganda.
State propaganda.
So what I want to be careful of, it's not Xi Jinping, the government, or the PLA, coming out and saying we will shoot you down. It's their propaganda arm saying we have a right to shoot at you, and if it doesn't stop you, we can shoot you down.
And they also, this says that they'll shoot at her plane if she goes there, but then later in the thing it says we'll shoot at her plane if she brings fighter escorts. So that's a different situation. If she just goes in without escorts, maybe there's not
saber rattling or the fourth turning.
Totally the fourth turning. Actually, what was it? Tony Robbins just had on. Who's the surviving one? William Strauss. Or Neil Howe.
Strauss-Hyde theory.
One of them died. Yeah, one of them died, but the other one was just talking with Tony Robbins, and it's getting kind of real in this fourth turn. But apparently it ends 2028.
It's Neil Howe's the one that's still alive.
Yeah, if it ends 2028, we're in it. So I don't know. 2026 is. I've heard 2026 is when things are going to get absolutely bonkers.
I just did a piece on this on my YouTube where 200. I think it was Glubb. I forget, like Sir John Glubb. He studied empires, the rise and the fall of them, and he said that 2020 or 250 years is the maximum lifespan of a country. United States will turn 250 years in 2026. So that kind of coincides with that. I even wrote down some other things. We meet all the criteria for an empire in decline, like, massive complexity that just seems unsustainable, supposedly climate, deforestation, environmental degradation, and then changing relations between friendlies and foes, or heightening tensions between them. And there's other things in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, cultural collapse, wastefulness, a lack of decorum.
Decadence.
I mean, decadence.
Mm-hmm. Debasement of the currency.
Like imagine like a young woman pouring expensive honey into a paper cup with really expensive liquors.
My God.
Right,
making
that's
shows based around it.
Yeah.
decadence.
What a woman
Exactly.
she would be.
What an animal.
And there's one other funny thing when going back through Rome all the way through many other empires. Apparently, in the late stages of it, they all seem to highlight chefs. They make celebrities out of their chefs.
Oh, I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some weird anomaly.
No, I wonder if there's like an emergent phenomenon around food and chefs and like
so much.
Well, you're so comfortable, you're entertained by taking food to the most extreme levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure gluttony.
And then also turning like animals into babies. Like how many times have you seen little dogs in like cradles, like all dressed up and everything?
That's got to be a sign of an empire in decline.
Yeah. The chef celebrities and baby pets.
I noticed like when I watch the survival videos of people like building their own house with their axe and stuff, and then it'll cut to them like frying really crappy spam or something in a pan and then like cooking and eating it. And I'm like, this is not appetizing. Why is this part of the video of them like cutting up their meat? I guess it's like people want to know what it's like to live out in the woods and hunt and cook your own stuff. But
that's like the opposite of decline. Like watching a video of some super ripped dude killing a deer and then eating it.
But this will be like he opens a can of tuna and then has some carrots, like frozen carrots, and he'll be cooking it in a pan.
Okay, so that's
this is like chef in decline.
That's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
This
is like celebrity chef
The
type
real,
stuff.
the
Yeah, that's
real celebrity
2028.
chef is making the cakes that you can't distinguish
Yes.
from like
Oh my
objects,
gosh.
where they're like,
That's it.
I could cut this right now and it could be a
So
cake, and
annoying.
you just don't
Isn't
know.
that a Netflix show?
It is.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Have you seen the video where the guy, he's watching the videos of people like cutting a shampoo bottle on his cake, and he looks shocked, and then he like grabs his phone and squeezes it, and it's cake, and then he freaks out, and then he like grabs his TV remote and squeezes it, and it's cake, and he starts panicking, and then he looks down at his butt, and he grabs his butt, and it's cake, and he's like, ah! That was really
Trust
funny.
anything.
Yeah, everything is cake.
Everything is
Why?
cake.
Why are they
Let them
highlight
eat cake.
chefs? What's up with this?
I think Tim's onto something there that I forget, it wasn't John Perkins, it was somebody else that was saying like there's this feeling in whether it's a nation or an empire that like times were great, we were great, but no one's feeling it anymore. Like there's another one, mercenaries. When you have to start fighting, hiring mercenaries for fighting your wars for you, like the God and country isn't working anymore. Then, and same thing with the bread and circuses. I think it's part of the whole chef thing is part of the bread and circuses thing.
Did you see that they're having serious problems recruiting people for the military? They've lowered the education standard. They've lowered the fitness standard. We're going to have wars fought by mercenaries in no time.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Actually, what's interesting, I was in the military from 2000 to 2006, and everyone that, like, when I got basically to my unit, everyone was saying like, yeah, you kind of went through the piece of cake boot camp where they can't touch you, they can't hit you, they can't push you, and like you didn't need to do, even half as much of the running as we needed to. So even back then, about 20 years ago, apparently it was like a shell of what it used to be, boot camp.
Interesting.
We had Blackwater fighting a huge part, or at least if not fighting the war in the Middle East, they were like functioning as administration for a lot. I mean, that's mercenary work.
Well, look at Ukraine. American citizens are on the ground in Ukraine, but the U.S. is like, we didn't send them there.
Right.
They're not officially ours, and it's like an international cohort of individuals fighting this war.
But so you said countries got 250 years, but what about like France, which had 900,000 years?
Well, it's empires. It's not countries. It's empires. So like other
France is
empires are
done.
still around. Like
Yeah.
Great
Turkey
Britain,
exists.
still around.
But has the U.S. been an empire for 250 years? It hasn't.
Well, not an empire, and that's a good point because 17. I don't know when they start the clock either.
Right.
When you are officially an empire, because I know 1776. I guess you wouldn't have called the United States an empire.
No. It wasn't until I think like the 1900s that the U.S. went totally empirical. I mean, Federal Reserve.
1946 even.
Who was that guy that everybody hates? Woodrow Wilson.
Oh man, yeah.
Everybody hates that guy, right?
It was like after World War II, they realized if we don't become a world order empire or whatever, that we're going to have World War III. So they were like liberal economic order, which you could call an empire. We got military bases all over the earth. Sign of
The
an
liberal
empire.
international economy.
Yes,
Yeah,
the lie.
I like that.
The
I
lie
like
was
that.
established in
That's a good
1946.
It's also, this is a different world than all the other empires when we were, like mapping out this 250-year lifespan as well. When you're talking about nations and empires, you're also talking about like major economic blocks, like transnational economic blocks.
I also want to point out, isn't it that empires last 250 years on average?
Is it?
Well, I mean, the Soviet Union lasted 69 years,
Yeah.
and that was massive. I mean, they were spreading all over the planet. Remnants still exist in some fashion today. The U.S., I mean, I wonder if the 250 years thing is based upon the extent of communications without electronics, right? So all of these big empires communicated through letter delivery, carrier, horseback. Now we have rapid communication. That causes things to evolve much more quickly. Mm-hmm. Especially now with the internet and social media, it's just ramping up faster than... So, I mean, you think about Franz Ferdinand, right? He gets shot. How long did it take for everyone to find out? Probably not that long relative to now, but it was lightning speed relative to previous conflicts. Telegraph, radio, word went out to their countries really quickly, but how long did it take for regular people to find out? If we had something like that happen today, it'd be on social media the moment it happened. Everyone would see it, so it's even faster. That anger, that animosity, the conflict can spread instantly across every person. So you think about the conflicts we've had in this country. Sentiment for civil war, right? In the United States. How long did it take for an idea to go from one person to everyone in a city, to make it from New York to, Illinois, or to, down to Florida, like those ideas to change and then create rifts? Probably took a really, really long time.
Well, you look at like the first Persian Empire, and one of the biggest reasons they collapsed internally was because of all of these internal rifts they were having, rebellions. They were taking slaves and bringing them into their military and making them mercenaries, as we were talking about. And now, because of technology, like you're saying, we're having this ramping up of that kind of stuff and rebellions, like Black Lives Matter internally causing rebellion within the US, all of these. And then we also have information that shows us that you have Russia, China potentially pumping money into these internal rebellions that we're facing in the West. And you're right, we're going to have basically a repeat of what caused a lot of these past empires to collapse on crack because of the technological...
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
It's the waiting I can't stand.
Yeah, just bring it on.
Like 20, Ian's talking about a guy in the woods, like cracking open an old can of tuna and putting carrots in it. And I'm like, sounds pretty good.
Just
not
can't
bad.
wait.
I wonder if this is actually an American empire or if it's just the British Empire masked with the American military, because
That's
British
part of
Empire
it.
is actually an empire.
That's part of it. There's also like a math equation. This one guy, it was an old TED Talks, but he was saying like even in a bacterial petri dish, mismatches between resources and consumption cause things like 5 generations in before the decline. It's the population is doubling every single generation, and then 5 generations before the decline, the food declines by 15/16. The next generation by 3/4, and it's empty in the next generation, or in the next generation is about half. And then the following generation is the mathematical conclusion of it. I don't know if that petri dish is a one-on-one parallel to what we're dealing with, but
Well, so you've heard that wealth lasts 3 generations, they say, right? The first generation is, comes up, figures it out, works hard, and then has that within them, this individual. They have kids. Those kids learn a lesson from the first generation. They inherit the wealth, and they know a little bit enough to kind of just sort of maintain it. Now you have another generation, and they're learning a lesson about a lesson. It's a copy of a copy. And so by the third generation, they have no idea how the empire was built. They have no idea how to start a company. They don't have the same life lessons. So I often think about this too. I hear stories about people who they're like, I was a college dropout and I was poor and I worked hard, and then now they have kids, and those kids are children of the wealthiest people on the planet. They're not going to learn the same lesson. Mm-mm. Like Steve Jobs was homeless. He was like sleeping on couches and floors. And then he had that fire within him and ruthlessness. Let's be real. His kids, I don't know. I'm assuming he has kids, but like the children of these people don't have that. They grew up in luxury.
totally.
I know it's like such a tired analogy, the good men, bad times thing, but they've got another Arab parable that's like just like what you're talking about, where it's like, I'll ride a camel. My son will ride in a Toyota. His son will ride in a Ferrari, and then his son will ride a camel. And there's a reason that these parables exist, though. The good men, hard times, whatever. It's because it's just what happens every damn time. And humanity keeps trying to tell us we've lived this story 1 billion times. But all right, guys, good luck. Do it again. Have fun.
That's why I'm saying, like, when I have kids, like, I'm going to kick them out at 3 years old and be like, here's a bandana, a trowel, a pack of seeds, and a pointy stick. Good luck, son.
Maybe a match.
But in all seriousness, what we do is we take the newborn and we put him in the woods for a day, and if he survives, he's strong enough to join the tribe.
So true.
I think
That's some
that was
George Carlin
Spartan.
logic.
No,
right
that was
there.
the Spartans. I think they did that, right?
Spartans, I think.
If the baby didn't survive, like out in the wilderness, it wasn't strong
Like,
enough.
well,
And then, nothing crazy like that. But I certainly think you got to teach, like hard labor, like good manual labor, chores, lifting stuff, shoveling, mowing the lawn. You got to teach kids, those kind of lessons. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and we'll see you all there.